4th February, the world wakes up to World Cancer Day 2023. The theme is Close the Care Gap. It's about identifying and understanding the iniquities in cancer care with intention of addressing the same. Patricia Kadhurima, Forever Up Space. March 18th, 2022, we read in one of the newspapers that 3 out of 7 Kenyatta National Hospital cancer machines are out of service. 7th May 2022, we read again that cancer patients are crying for help as services collapse. Sad. On May 9th, 2022, on the Lancet Oncology website, the theme, Closing the Gap in Cancer Care in Kenya. And from it, that write-up, there are quite a number of questions that would arise. But the most important was accessing of screening, diagnosis, and treatment for cancer patients. How available, accessible, affordable is cancer treatment in our country before we can even pursue in the world? Would you care about cancer and the mental health of the patient, the caregiver, and by extension, the family, in cases where it is not accessible, it is not affordable? Of all the terminal illnesses, the progressive conditions, advanced HIV, advanced heart conditions, hypertension, diabetes, neurological conditions, cancer is dreaded. For the right reasons: affordability of the care. It can waste a family. It consumes resources. And so when the world wakes up to create awareness and look into closing the care gap in cancer patients' care, it is a day all of us should take some time to think about it, because one in so many families in this country have been affected in one way or another. Initially, the individual and symptoms leading to cancer diagnosis may sound boring, but once confirmed and pronounced, the narrative changes to one of an exciting patient with exciting symptoms. So what we need to understand and ask ourselves, how as a family, as friends, as a community, do we help the cancer patient cope with the new status? Because this now we are looking at long-term and short-term management. The emotional well-being of the cancer patient is at stake. They will feel angry, they will be worried, they will be stressed, they will be guilty. Is there something they did or they did not do that could have saved the situation? Panic and anxiety, depression will creep in. How do you help the patient cope with the diagnosis, understanding the emotional well-being? Either the caregiver, of course, the medics are aware about that. But how about the family? How about the immediate caregiver who is going to be with them? How knowledgeable are they about the patient's medical situation and how they can step in to support them emotionally so that the patient doesn't cripple when it comes to their mental wellness? Adjusting for the cancer patient. Communication is another aspect to look into in helping the cancer patient adjust and cope. Remember, adjusting to cancer for the patient will greatly be influenced by the language used by the healthcare providers to discuss the diagnosis and treatment, and further by family and friends in passage of support. Be conscious in your conversation. Consider your language around the cancer patient, bearing in mind the experience of cancer is individual and your choice of language can shape the emotional experience of the patient. So every time you come into contact with the patient, allow them to express themselves, allow them to lead the conversation. In providing a support system for the cancer patient, you need to remember they may not be in a position to relax. They are worried, they are anxious. How do you help them to relax? Can you encourage and motivate them into minimal physical activities so that when it is time to rest, that is when they are physically strong, you need to be very observant, they are able to rest without a struggle, especially after the treatment, if they are going through a chemotherapy, if they are going through a radiology, the kind of side effects that come with it may make it difficult and uncomfortable for them to relax. Another aspect in helping the patient adjust and cope is understanding cancer and survivorship. Everybody will be worried. There is an aspect of remission versus, being cured. That, of course, the doctor should be able to explain how long it takes for them to observe the patient, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and continuously, progressively, they qualify them. Are they still in remission and in good status, or are they going to the category where they can be qualified as cured? Another area that is very sensitive, image and sexuality of the cancer patient. There is a way we look at ourselves, our image, that boosts our self-esteem and confidence. When the treatment begins, there are short-term and long-term changes that will occur. Again, the intimacy, if the patient had a partner, may not be the same. That would trouble the patient. How do I look? Am I still likable? Am I still admirable? And so their image and reputation, don't go there saying, oh, you have changed. You've lost so much weight. Your skin complexion has changed. You've lost your hair. You have scars. We need to be sensitive. We need to be kind. We need to be polite in how we address the outcome of the treatment, so that at no time do we compromise their self-esteem, their confidence. Rate your conversation around cancer. Is it positive or empowering, or discouraging and limiting? Is it okay to refer to it as a fight, a battle, as cancer journey? Be patient enough to allow the cancer patient to label and describe their own feelings. That way they develop their own narrative, a translation of their emotions into common language you can adopt to explore their subjective experiences and better support them. Cancer affects not only the patient, but the family members too, immediate and extended family. and by extension, friends. The family must adjust to the new situation, changing roles, because now a child who was in school may start taking care of the patient, could be their mother, their father. A partner who was working may have to now share their time or split their time working and taking care of the patient. It can take a toll on them. There will be money concerns because cancer demands financial resources. The care is quite intense when it comes to usage of money. And that's where you find friends, family, colleagues coming together to put resources together for the patient to help them with the financial support. Living arrangements have to be considered because now, is the patient being treated locally? Is the patient being treated abroad? Is the patient going to move from upcountry to the urban areas where treatment is available and accessible? Who is going to be with them? Is it going to be on rotational basis that one person is going to stay with them? Because cancer treatment can take a while, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, years, depending on the treatment protocol that has been prescribed. So the family can't be left out, enabling them to come to terms that it is here and there is no way out. You have to go through it together as a family. It can be a breaking point, depending, of course, on the past relationship, how well gelled and bonded is the family. Unfortunately, children are ignored when it comes to communicating the new medical status. If it is one of them who is unwell, or it is a parent who is not well, do not ignore the children. Have them understand what is happening. Do you have to wait for them until they see the patient is starting to show physical signs that things are not okay? When they start asking you, is when you start to explain to them, they will feel left out, they may feel dismissed. Bring it to their attention what is happening in the simplest terms possible, even if it means looking for a third party, a counselor or a relative who is mature enough to deliver the message to the children. Let them know what is happening. Give them hope, because children can be scared. They can feel guilty going out to play when their brother, their sister, who could be the patient, or the parent is indoors, ailing and in pain. Encourage them to step out and tell them it is well. They could feel embarrassed. Their friends, the neighbors, at school and elsewhere, people to know, oh, my brother, my sister is suffering cancer, or my parents, one of my parents is suffering cancer. There is nothing to be embarrassed about. Let the children, bring them into the picture. Let them understand. Let them know what is happening. Walk with them as their age allows them to comprehend. Make them understand. Children are easy beings. You may be surprised how positively they will be able to adjust the family and the new medical situation. Adjusting and coping for the family when cancer has been diagnosed and pronounced. The caregiver, my heart goes to the cancer patient caregivers. A group of individuals left out when it comes to the conversation around cancer. Formal or informal they can be. Formal in the sense that they're in a structured system and they are paid. Informal meaning that they are recruited from within the family or the friends' circles, and so they may not be in a structured system where they are remunerated for the services they are offering. They are expected to extend some grace to the patient, caringly, lovingly, but the psychological consequences of the caregiver are ignored in most cases. They do report panic and anxiety, depression, post-trauma stress disorder. Whoever cares about the mental health of the caregiver, we need to appreciate them. We need to show gratitude. And why do I say this? In most cases, you will find the caregiver is recruited probably from the village in our setup, where they are perceived to be individuals who are not busy or who are not in a very important economic engagement, and people feel, how much do they earn? We can pay the person to go and take care of the patient. And when you call to find the status of the patient, you will call the caregiver. Hi, how are you? How is the patient doing? But you never take time, or may I say, do you ever take time to ask the caregiver how they are doing? The psychological consequences of caregiving. The mental health of the caregiver must be considered. Don't ignore what they're likely to be going through. They will be worried probably. What next after the treatment? Where do I go back? Where do I pick up from? So the well-being of the cancer patient is pretty dependent on the well-being of the caregiver. Most importantly, their understanding of the patient's medical situation. This will boost confidence and control while offering support. The caregiver needs to be educated on ways to self-care, that when the patient is resting, they quickly also take some rest physically. They need to be advised that they equally need to observe their nutrition so that they are physically healthy and strong to handle and be there for the patient. Because a caregiver is involved in such a strong way. They will be taking the patient to see the doctor. Okay? They will take care of the cleanliness, the feeding, of the cooking and feeding the patient. They are the ears. They are the eyes. When they go to see the doctor, they're the ones when the patient is adjusting to treatment, they're expected to give the doctor a feedback so that the doctor is able to intervene appropriately. The caregiver needs to know that they need to be physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually strong to be able to take care of the patient. Otherwise, you will have two patients and you will be compromising the well-being of the patient. And therefore, let us not ignore the caregiver. Consider their psychological well-being and support them. Is it possible to take care of the patient on rotational basis? If it is not, how, in what other way can you help them? Can you make sure that the caregiver is aware of the situation? What cancer are you dealing with? What stage is it? What treatment protocol is going to be observed by the doctors? What are the likely side effects to watch out for, so that when things happen, when the patient reacts in a certain way, they don't get into a panic mode. They're able to step in confidently, knowledgeably, and probably even enable them to journal the journey of the patient so that continuously they are updating the doctor effectively for effective intervention. And so the caregiver cannot be ignored. Let us be fair. let us be kind as we close the care gap. Once cancer has been diagnosed and pronounced, the concern and focus should not only be to the patient, the family, the caregiver, the friends, the colleagues must be considered to ensure that they adjust and cope accordingly. Closing the care gap. 4th February 2023, we wake up to the World Cancer Day. Let's extend some grace to our family, to our friends. We know they are suffering cancer and the effects. God bless you.